Good day, my name is Reece Carstens. I'm a registered counsellor and an area manager at Community Keepers. Today, we are going to be speaking about communication. The topic of communication, which I'm going to speak about today, you have most likely heard about, whether it be attending a workshop, talking to a colleague, or even just in social gatherings. So if you hear anything that's familiar, it's not a bad thing. It's good to have a refresher. If you hear things for the first time, maybe listen more than once so you can get a better idea of the nuances. And if it's something that you don't agree with, just have an open heart. Maybe there's one or two things that could help you in the environment you find yourself. So communication, we do it every day, all the time. I mean, this very building that I was sitting in today, I drove here, but I had to communicate to the people around the car which direction I wanted to go. If I wanted to go left, indicate left, right, indicate right. So it's part of our everyday conversation. But that's with strangers. What about conversation with people that we know, that's in our environment, that's in our working place, that's in our homes? It takes a little bit more than just communicating information. It takes building relationship and trust. And those factors, those key factors are, shall we say, fostered by care, by being present, by knowing something a little bit of the person, their likes, their dislikes. Even if it's someone you're meeting for the first time, that first 5-minute conversation, you can learn something about it and reflect that back to them. In that way, that person gets to know that you are there with them. When you speak, listen. Do both, not just the one or the other. And where possible, add a little bit of fun to the communication, and that will establish that relationship, that will establish that trust, which will foster communication, because the communication is important for different reasons, which we will get to. When you listen, an amazing tool to add to it is asking questions. Asking the question at the right time, in the right moment, in the right way, can unlock emotions, can unlock thoughts, can unlock dialogue in your conversation. When you ask a question one at a time. Sometimes we're so passionate about the topic we're speaking, we rattle off questions or we rattle off points. But by asking one question at a time, you give the other person the opportunity to divulge how they feel, what their thoughts are. When you ask a question, ask open-ended questions. Sometimes we ask questions and it's a simple yes or no answer and then the person shuts off. But if we ask an open-ended question, they are then forced to explain why they say what they say and why they believe what they believe. When we ask a question, it's very important that we do two things. Number one, discover what the meaning of what the person is trying to say, but the second part is vital. That is, discover the emotions behind what they're saying. Regardless if the emotion is erratic, off the point, it could also be spot on. By just reflecting the emotion, you are showing the person that you're present, that you are there. You can always deal with it if it's a wrong emotion on the later stage, because now there's trust being built and the relationship is formed, which allows a person to receive the feedback. When is the best time to do it? The best time to do will depend on the relationship. So let's use different examples. You have a parent and you have a child. When will the best time to do communication? That could be around the dinner table. If that's not part of your household practice, it could be while you're getting dressed for school, on your way to school. Taking one specific night out of the week and making it family night. Foster an environment that promotes communication. If it's a teacher or a learner situation, then that's a bit different. That will be times such as maybe during break, before school, after school, in a free period. I'm about to make a statement which sounds very simple. Make time to listen. That is so simple when we say it, but so difficult in practice. Life gets busy, there's pressures, there's demands, but it's a vital part of the formula for good communication. Let's give an example. Let's take the parent-child example. If you have a child who's trying to communicate with their parents, but the parent is always busy, always delaying, that child will eventually stop trying. Another example could be that maybe the parent gets frustrated, impatient. They are not tolerant. The child then decides rather to listen to someone else who will give them the time. But the person they turn to might not be the best influence. So that's why, even though it's a simple statement, but difficult to practice, it is important to apply. Make time to listen. When we communicate, it's not always sunshines, roses. It's sometimes a difficult conversation that needs to be held, conflict, challenges. But when you have that type of communication that needs to take place, never ever remove hope from a conversation. Acknowledge the other person's struggles. And if you have the resources, help the person to discover different options. That's so important, so that they don't feel stuck or in a corner, or even in the moment where there's no solutions, they will feel the freedom to come back and have a conversation with you on a later date, because you haven't taken away hope. You've acknowledged their struggles, but you've also tried to find solutions to what you guys are talking about. A positive affirmation will always trump a negative affirmation. Both will create connection. Negativity still creates connection, but positivity will always trump that. So when it comes to communication, one of the best ways to connect with someone, especially if you're a parent wanting to connect with a child, positive affirmation. Simple thing like, I'm so glad you're my child. It's a simple statement, but it affirms who the child is in your eyes, speaking about what you see, what you acknowledge, and who they are. So we spoke very high level about communication in this video. But what we want to express is that it's not about the information that you share. You've got to pair it with building trust and building relationships, because the moment you win the heart of the individual that you're speaking to, there's a place to land for the information that you want to share with him. I just want to leave you with one more question, and that is, how can you communicate with your child today? Have a good day.